All right, call this meeting to order. Everyone would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You have a roll call, please.
Tony Savigny,
Here.
Lynn Shank,
Yes, ma'am.
David Hugo.
Here.
John Penzine,
Here.
Joe Christopher. Sure, Jenny McKay.
Here.
Neil Watson.
Here.
I don't know which one.
All right, maybe he's just running late. We'll see. First is the approval of the minutes from August 24th meeting. Any comments, questions, corrections?
I just asked that we correct the roll call votes on the two items to include my name since I was there and approved it.
Yes. Any other?
I make a motion, we accept with those two corrections, the minutes from August 24th, 2021.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is approval of today's agenda. I have a correction. We do not need a site plan review up in the public hearing. So that'll be under just new business.
So what do you mean?
So-
A is okay?
Yeah, so the adoption of a text amendment to the zoning ordinance will be in the public hearing, but the second item B will be under new business, item
Yes.
10. And also, there's just a typo here. It's the Holly Power Sports located at 12495 Dixie Highway, Zone B3, parcel ID number 0207 303-001.
Same address?
No, 12495.
Yeah, that's what I have on the side.
Yeah. So the address and the parcel number were
Incorrect.
typo. So we'll move that to the item 10. So with those corrections, any other?
I make a
Amazon.
motion, we accept the new agenda with the correction on the B in public hearing number 9 into 10.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, meeting agenda as amended is approved. Any resolutions, communications, or notices we need to be aware of? Okay, well, then we can go to the public hearing portion. If we'll have a motion to go into public hearing.
I make a motion, we open the public hearing on PH 21-0012 Planning Commission consideration of the text amendment for zoning ordinance.
I'll second it.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we have entered into the public hearing section. So I'll turn it over to Michelle to talk, but just comments that this is a continuation of the project we've been working on for a long time, which is the design guidelines for the Dixie Highway corridor, so that we can, as we develop that corridor, keep it in line with what we think are the goals of this community, and that's to keep it rural, kind of that up north feel, and not get it over dense in growth of population.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can
So-
we take adjournment because I want to hug?
No,
Lorraine.
you can't.
Lorraine.
Later afterwards. So, so with that, we got all the unnecessary stuff out of the way. We're here right for the great stuff now. So, and you know, the thing that was interesting is we have a site plan for a business on Dixie Highway. So it gave me an opportunity to look at that site plan relative to our guidelines. guidelines, and it wouldn't meet our guidelines. So, so it's, I think, timely that we're getting these design lights in place, because we do want to try to have a really nice environment as we develop the Dixie Highway corridor. So with that, though, I will pass the baton to Michelle, and she can kind of give us an update of where we are on this.
So tonight is the public hearing for the Dixie Highway overlay. And just to be clear about the process after this, because we are making a text amendment to the zoning ordinance, we will send a letter to the county. The county has 30 days to send us back any comments, which we can then incorporate, and then it would go to the Board of Trustees. So if everything goes perfectly, this could probably be adopted in November. The trustees don't have any comments. And I bring up the timing because, as you mentioned, we have a site plan as well coming up on Dixie Highway. So depending on how tonight goes and how swiftly we can move afterwards, there is a chance that they will either come in before these are adopted or right afterwards. So just keep our eye out for that. But in the meantime, since last time I was here, I have spoken to the attorney. He didn't have any comments about the barn quilts and signs. So there were really very few changes to me. And I highlighted some of them. So one of the bigger issues was the setback. And if you remember, the county sent us over Dixie Highway right of way, map of the right of way, and the right of way varies along Dixie Highway. So to try to get around that or have a more uniform standard, if you look under dimensions and new standards, that first bullet point, what I wrote was, the minimum size has to be 2.5 acres with a minimum front setback of 100 feet from the Dixie Highway right of way. And the way I define that is the setback will be measured from the edge of the highway shoulder on the same side of the road as the proposed structure to the closest facade of that structure. So that way we're just measuring from the edge of the highway, and we're not having to worry about the widths along the entire corridor. So I updated that. Another thing I wanted to point out was under that same section, dimensions and new standards, the fourth bullet point, we had some talk here about permitted retail having to deal directly with consumers. So I just changed that second sentence to say at least some of the goods produced on the premise shall be sold at retail. So it's no longer all, just some of them. Let me scroll through here and see if I made any other major changes. Bob, I got yours here, but they're mainly small, so it's nothing really to the content, but I will include some of those little fixes there. Yes.
Just, because the parcel that we're looking at tonight on the site plan is just a little over 1 acre. So when we talk about 2.5 acres, that's all existing lots would be grandfathered in. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. Do we need to state that?
No,
Okay.
That's how it works.
Okay.
Can I ask? Can I ask a question? What about if the road is expanded? So Dixie Highway, so let's say they put a middle turning lane for some reason. So obviously the shoulders are going to change. Existing would be fine. So the new ones would still have to go with this 100 feet farther back, maybe.
If that's what you guys want. Yeah, I guess I could make a provision in here. I don't, unless we made it from the center line. I think you would still be 100 feet back from the edge of the.
Okay.
road. Is it- are you guys
So
okay
the
with
new
that?
places would just have to be set back farther. Fine, no problem.
That's a good point. There's always prep work going on. And then let's just make sure that we all agree, if you guys can turn to page 7. in the packet, with the roofs. I just want to make sure that I got this section right. So if you remember, we had some conversation about not wanting
Seven.
flat roofs, but understanding that some uses may absolutely need them. And we provided additional standards to make sure that they're not really visible if they do have to go in. So those 3 kind of sub-bullet points under the first one are the standards that I updated slightly for the flat roof. So you can use it if it's absolutely necessary. So we're thinking about that like for storage or warehousing. But also that it can be on a parcel that does not touch Dixie Highway, is screened by 6 feet tall evergreen trees, and is at least 250 feet from the right of way. Or if it's on a parcel that touches Dixie Highway, the structure can be basically behind another one that does comply. So from the right of way, you would see the higher design standards, and then you can have a flat roof behind it.
So it's kind of nested behind it. You can't see it from the road.
Right. So that's, yeah, completely screened from the right of way. I added the, so you can see on the top, very top of page 8, we talked about those roll top garage doors. So we're now permitting those as a non-traditional entrance. So that's the first time you're seeing that. If you have any modifications to that, let me know. It's just one line. There's not a detail there. Knowing though that we don't want it to be all glass. That would be quite difficult. So I'm going to keep scrolling here, but I made notes to myself about larger changes to talk to you all about, but I really think we've nailed most of it in the last few sessions where we talked about this. So I'll, send it back to you all to let me know if you have any other questions or comments. Otherwise, we can.
Doctor?
I noticed on the very last page, right at the very end, there was that reference to prairie and something else. That we talked about. Sprinklers
Yeah.
and those to use, so you
Okay.
can change those 2 to something else.
Yeah.
Thank you. But it looked very good. to me.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
Yeah, no, I,
So you would be voting on this tonight, but like I said, there's still a built-in process where you can get county comments. if there's anyone on the phone tonight from the public, and then the trustees. So there's still a little built-in time for review, but
do we have anyone on the Zoom call?
Yeah,
Okay. And any comments from the members of the public we do have in the room with us tonight?
At this point.
Okay.
Noreen?
Yeah, so the, just to give a sense of kind of what we're looking for as we talk about our next topic, how it contrasts with what, currently is permissible to the changes we'd be making here. One would be that for every 10 parking spaces, you need to incorporate a tree island. So we want to have that up north spacious. We don't want just big parking lots. Not that the proposal for this evening is a big parking lot, but we want to space it out so that it looks, more natural and environment instead of just pavement. The minimum setback will be 100 feet from the road as measured from the shoulder. The construction of a pole barn, as far as the exterior, would not be acceptable in the new guidelines. We're looking for a more upscale sidings for the structures that were stone and wood and brick, things of that nature. So, so I'm happy with the guidelines. So is Bob.
Sorry,
I thought you were clapping. That was perfect timing. But, so I think this is great. I think, it's, and I applaud you, Michelle, for the work you did in pulling this together. I think you've done a fantastic job. So I don't know if anyone has comments or questions or.
I like it also.
A lot of work in this.
Yeah.
Great document.
Yeah.
A lot of time. Appreciate it.
Yes. And so this will be, yes, this will be part of our zoning ordinance. That will be, at the end, a new division 17. So that when you go to our ordinances, it'll be right there so that people can look it up. It'll be in Article 3, Division 17. So, and I like that, this is going to be available to everybody. They can all get online, take a look at it, read it, see it. So when we have it approved by the township. So if there are no other comments or questions, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion, we close the public meeting on PH 21-02-0012, planning Dixie Highway overlay.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are now out of the public hearing. And unless there's any additional comments from the commissioners, I'll accept the motion to, our goal is to approve this and pass it on for the township board.
Yes.
County review.
Well, that'll happen, but
Okay.
our motion.
Gotcha.
Okay, I make a motion, we pass this to the township board, and with our approval, hopefully, everybody votes for it. Okay. Second, anyone?
Second.
All right, I'll do a roll call vote, please.
Lynn Shane,
Yes, ma'am.
David Newville,
Yes.
Jeff Benzine,
Yes.
Jenny McKay,
Yes.
Neil Wallen,
Yes.
Jennifer Seventeen.
Yes. All right, great work. We'll see, hopefully the township will like it, give it a thumbs up and
I think so.
yeah, and I welcome if they've got input, I Can always get better.
The meeting today, and I thought it was great.
okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda would be under new business, and that will be the site plan review for an accessory building for Holly Power Sports located on Dixie Highway. So we have someone here to speak to this evening.
James Owen, RBF Construction, he's the builder as well as owner of Holly Power Sports. And these are my partners, Al and Rush, who are also the owners of Rush RV next door.
Welcome.
Thank you. Obviously, we're located at 12495 Dixie Properties, or Dixie Highway. We had a great year. When we first designed the building, we had the potential for growth by showing an addition off the back of the building, because we were anticipating growing in like our 5-year plan, which got moved up real quick to a 1-year plan. So, we're extremely excited. We're glad to be part of the community and growing. So we're asking that you guys, take a look at our site plan. We'd like to get moving on it as quickly as possible due to the weather closing in on us.
So can you speak to what you're going to be doing in this addition?
This addition is going to be basically all service work. We just have an incredible amount of people coming in for service, and we realized the small building we're in now, there's just no way we can meet that demand. We hopefully want to hire 2 or 3 more techs. Basically have 4 bays that we have, that we're able to work out of. And then we want to take the workshop area that we have now and create more showroom space.
And what will you be working on in this building?
Same thing, just ATVs, dirt bikes, side by sides. We did have one guy bring in a jet ski one time, but you know, it's
Very
just small motors. Yeah,
Consider small engine.
yes.
The height of the building, with those types of vehicles, would we need that much height on it?
That was more of a strategic plan. In
Future
case,
plan?
in case we do have plans that possibly down the road, if things are 10-year plan.
It's about 2 years.
Yes, we'll see you again in a few years.
Exactly. So the 10-year plan would be to build a 10,000 square foot building on the Dixie corridor, on the Dixie corridor, and basically have a real presence. And then whoever would want to lease that building or purchase that building, it's more of a what would they use the building for? And I would hate to have a 10-foot overhead door and, you know, it'd be a service, you know, car center or something that they want to hoist it, but they can't because they don't have the height.
Gotcha.
So that's really the purpose behind it.
Okay.
Not that I want to spend the extra money for it, because we don't need anything over.
That was my thought, but that helps me understand. Yep.
Just so that when he talks about the 10,000 square foot building, Rush RV owns 5.5 acres just north of adjacent to Rush RV. So, and then have a purchase agreement or have an option on another 3.5 of that. So it would end up over there somewhere at some point. Yes, we own one.
So in this addition, you'll have what kind of utilities? Electrical, you have lighting, we have compressed air, and what do you?
I mean, it's the only thing that we're gonna have different than we have now would be a radiant heat tubes. We're not gonna condition it in the summertime. They can open the garage doors, because they leave open anyway. But during the winter, it's just something to, you know, keep the shop warm. So,
A bathroom?
yes, an additional bathroom that we're gonna have tucked back for kind of an employee, and then you have the customer bathroom. That's
Which is 660.
yes.
So you have a section adjacent to the existing building that's going to be a 2x6 wall construction.
Yeah, basically, it was just a nice way to tie the 2 buildings together without make it flow. So, I mean, I'd love to have made it taller and all that, but I didn't want the roof line of the breezeway addition, it's called, to extend above the existing.
Okay,
Property drops about 3 feet, 3 to 4 feet.
Yeah, so then the pole barn, you build a 16-foot, it's actually, from the side, it's only gonna be about 13 foot. And the existing sidewalls are 8.5 foot, so you get about a 5-foot difference.
yeah, and so the rear, where you're gonna have your 4 bays, that's a typical pole barn construction.
Yes and no. I did the same thing for Atlas Outdoors and on the road corridor there in Mundy Township, where we took the pole barn and we insulated it and put steel on the inside. So it's a finished product inside and out. It's not just a empty pole barn as you walk in. As you typically would. It's just the type of construction. It's called pole barn construction. It'll still be finished like it was like we were putting it on a foundation.
All right, and so we have, when we have the site plans, we have our township consultants. review them, and we have our engineering consultant, Tim Judici, on the, has called into our Zoom meeting. They've had an opportunity to review the plans and relative to engineering standards or our zoning requirements. So I'll pass it over right now to Michelle and have you go through your review of the site plan.
Sure. So in your packets, you guys can locate this site here. I've drawn the boundaries on it. On the highway, so deep. It's surrounded by the and also already have. So that will kind of say when we have to talk about landscaping, since you do about properties. Generally, we like to make sure there's an adequate level of screening in between, since you have a commercial use that might be out there. So, first up, this is a permitted use, so that's good. If I go down to okay, some of the things, if you look at the very bottom, it's after I've gone through all of the standards. So in section 5, I have the summary of comments, issues, and outstanding decisions. The first one I mentioned is landscaping. If you can see that the aerial, is that a more up-to-date aerial?
Yeah, it's 2020 last year, so now. So
Not even close. Okay, what effort is that?
5/5/2020, so over a year.
Yeah, well, from what I saw on Google, there was still quite a bit along the perimeter of the parcel, a lot of tree canopy still.
There's a slide.
There is a ton.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's very thick along the edges.
So that's something we'll need to confirm because, oh, there we go. Well,
That's right.
that's the parcel boundary, the blue line.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the tree canopy though is in on your parcel.
Not all of it.
Yeah, like around the, and on the south side of the parcel.
That's residential on the
That's-
south.
That's the residential.
That's residential.
Yeah.
It's a gravel. So the plan was still, right? Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
So that's zone residential, but there's no houses on it.
So that parcel where you have your star or whatever you want to call
Yeah, that's what.
it, that is going to be, so the guy that owns property, his grandson is buying that piece of property.
He's actually supposed to be coming in here pretty soon.
He's going to put his landscape business there.
So he's gonna have a reason.
Won't be.
Which side of the property is he talking about doing
Where
that?
the tree
South.
cover is, where the tree cover is, between us and the residential.
So landscaping will now then be an issue. I understand that right now there's no house on it and that frankly wants to rezone that, but based on.
That's his grandson.
Oh,
Yeah. owner's grandson.
Current owner.
Under, lawn. Original landscape. I'm friends with him, but.
But based on the current zoning and the current standards, landscaping then would be an issue because you on your property don't have any screening or buffering. I understand there's a lot of trees on the adjacent parcel, but if someone rezones that, they can cut all of those down and then we'll have no buffer at all between them. So that's something that we'll need to discuss in greater detail as you guys go through the next steps. You'll have to provide us more detail on these things, so we'll be talking more about that. Your loading zone that you guys provided. We need to talk about finding another location for that. It's right in the middle of the parking lot, blocking several of those spaces.
And we didn't change the loading level.
You added more parking spaces?
The parking spaces were still, on the old site plan, it still showed additional gravel parking spaces.
Well, during this approval process, we'll have to talk about that. planning ordinance specifically said that it shouldn't be blocking or interfering. So, try to find somewhere in the rear. We talked about building materials, so currently, I would say, they're not really compatible with the front facing building, the one that faces Dixie Highway, and if the design students get past it, won't be compatible with that. So we'll have to talk about maybe some other options there.
What color were you planning on the siding for the new addition?
What color do you want
Not red.
I have 3 samples in my truck, actually, we have 3 different tones of gray. We were kind of just wanting the building to disappear, and just kind of, there's a vinyl siding in the gables that's kind of a deep gray that we were kind of gonna go with, and just kind of, I mean, I'm not building the building to the additions to make a statement. It's just
Usable space,
it's just useful space.
try to make business grow.
Yeah, so the things I'm mentioning, the next things are, they're minor, the trash receptacle detail we have to look into, and then exterior lighting, we do require a photometric plan. So if you're going to be installing any wall mounted lighting on this new addition, for any pole for lighting, we need to see how much light is being emitted, especially since you're next to a residential parcel. And then the engineer's comments. So in my review, what I said is, pending engineering comments, that I think you provided substantial information that complies substantial compliance with the zoning ordinance, but those things I mentioned, we will need to work those out in the next review. So I guess we can hand that out to Tim. Tim, you ready?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. Thanks for accommodating the schedule. Happy to virtually see everyone as always. I don't think I talked to Danielle earlier. I know our office had done a review on this, but I don't think I made it to Danielle to get into your packet. So my apologies for that. We had done a pretty thorough review on this a number of years ago when the original site was constructed. They were planning expansion or addition at that time. So the utilities, the on-site kind of grading and drainage was set up in the previous site to accommodate this future addition. So from an engineering perspective, the site's really set up pretty well to handle this addition. There's no changes necessary in the detention basin or the stormwater control system for the site. Grading and parking and that are kind of all set up for the accommodation of the addition. So pretty straightforward from our perspective as far as from the engineering related issues. No new well. They have a existing septic field, and then as they indicated, they're going to add some new piping for a new restroom in the new addition, which can get piped out to that existing septic system. So really no big concerns or issues from our front. Happy to answer any questions.
You will get your report to Danielle so we can have it as part of our record.
I will when I return to the office in the morning, yes.
Great. That would be helpful. I do have a question. I don't know who wants to handle it, probably more on the zoning, but how close are the parking spaces to the property line? When I look at the south, it looks like we're almost going right to the property line with parking. It's hard to tell.
Those would be the side setbacks, and the minimum yard setbacks have to be 30 feet or 60 feet total. So I will say this is something that we will need to talk about when we have the ordinance. This language means that they can each be 30 feet or they can be 60 feet total. They can be 50 and then 10. So
Yeah, that is the way it's
Yeah.
written. Yeah, agreed.
so
But-
it's met.
Yeah, I mean, how close are we? I couldn't tell on the drawings.
I wrote the northern setback is less than 30 feet And the southern setback is over 7.
Yeah, but that's the building, I believe.
It's about, currently, it's, I'm guessing between 3 and 4 feet off the property line.
Yeah,
As I say, look,
4, and I don't think it's any less.
yeah, I mean, it's,
That's the 30 foot is for a structure though, isn't it?
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
but, yeah. I mean, our whole intent is we look at our building and density within the township is not to have everybody go right to their property line. And you're going on that side next to a residential area. And we're gonna have to have screening there. And 3 to 4 feet is gonna make it tough.
Right.
So I think I agree that from the engineering standpoint and from the preliminary site plan, that you guys are in substantial agreement, but part of this discussion this evening is to say, in order to get final approval, there's some areas that we're gonna need to look at closer.
Yep.
And having parking 3 to 4 feet from the property line probably is gonna need to be rethought as to how you can do that.
Even though that's approved before, we have to go backwards there.
Well, you didn't have all of these, have you had all of these parking spaces? The plans
Most.
indicated that there were, I think, 15 new.
The parking, there was about another 30 feet of additional space, like the old site plan showed, I think it was either 30 or 40 feet from the gate back in the gravel lot with basically it was overflow parking for employees.
And so you're looking right now for the parking, I think 19 spaces. You're looking at, that's going to be gravel.
No, that we're paving,
Okay, so you're going from gravel to paving.
yes.
Yeah,
Unless
well,
unless you-
no, we want
gravel.
paved. But therein, I mean, you've got a surface now. I don't,
I mean, even if it was approved before, I mean, your addition is bigger than the existing building, right? So this is essentially a whole new site plan.
right.
And so I don't know when this was approved before, when you guys came here,
Last year,
but I'm last year.
approximately, somewhere around maybe
About 18, 19.
most, yeah, because we were in
Is it-
and running them. early
It's been a year or two,
October.
not two? Okay.
It might have been-
So I'm applying all of the zoning standards to this as if it's a new development.
Well, we didn't have a paved parking with the old site plan regardless. So to the extent that we're having a paved parking and we're looking at having it 2 to 3 feet from the property line, I think that causes concern. And we are going to, perhaps the grandson of the existing owner will come in and ask for rezoning. And, maybe not, but today that is residential and it'll need to be screened, just based on our ordinances today. So, those are things we're gonna have to look at. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would like to keep on that topic then for a second, because in the original arrow I looked at, I thought some of that tree canopy was on site, and if it's not, then the options for landscaping are an earth berm. You can plant a dense enough row of evergreen trees along your property line, or you can put in a screen wall.
So that property south of us is probably about 4 feet or 5 feet higher than our property.
Okay.
So it couldn't build on it at this point. And so my point is, even if we put a 6-foot tree on it, it's not gonna block a whole lot.
Sorry, the topography is on the other side? Where are you saying that the 4 or
So
5
the-
feet of topography is?
So the property south of us,
Yeah.
that section there
Mhm.
is considerably higher than us.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure what the
But the landscaping would be on your parcel
Okay.
that you're required to do. I can't require you to do anything that's not on your own property.
But I think the point we're trying to make is
It's not gonna make
that
any difference.
because that other parcel is so much higher than his, even if you put a green belt in there, it wouldn't block much.
Well,
Yeah.
Because the other site's over.
But the issue would be, they'd have to get a variance. The ordinance requires screening. So if for some reason they've got, that it's not effective because of the adjacent parcel, blah, 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 whatever reason, then they'd have to go get a variance. But the ordinance is as the ordinance is right now.
I just think he was trying to make it clear that he was indicating the
Yeah,
adjacent parcel is the one that's up above his, and that's why the screening. It's like a bunch of points.
And again, if that parcel gets developed and they take all the trees off, and, we don't know. That's why, we do the zoning on just the parcel.
Question, is that a buildable lot with wise? I don't know.
I don't know anything about it.
The lot next to it,
Yeah.
let's see, that one's REF.
So I know some of them, they can only be a driveway, you can't actually build that one.
I don't know what the width is, but
So REF has to be, are you talking about the width of the parcel?
Yes,
Has to be
yeah.
at least 165.
That's no.
well, another thing, I'll just put a plug in as we redo our ordinances that, when you look at, we have a table, it's 54-506, it's called Schedule of Regulations. And it goes for the zoning of commercial to the residential, industrial, and it tells you what the side yard setbacks need to be in the front yard and stuff. And when we get into the commercial properties, the B 1, 2, and 3, there's no minimum on or maximum regarding how much of the land they can build on, where, we have that as far as residential. So we'll be looking at that. So you don't want someone to build 90% of their parcel but put buildings on it, right? So, but we don't have anything. So we'll look at it. And I don't think that's the case here. I think for the acre that you have, I don't think it's being overbuilt. I do think going to within a couple of feet of your property line with parking.
So is that not buildable then? Being 150 feet?
So it's 150 feet and it's only 1 acre and it's not REF, it doesn't. meet the REF standards.
Yeah.
I think right now that piece that you got the green line on is actually part of
It's part of the
the
whole
rest of
thing,
the lake.
yeah.
So it's not identified as a 1 acre lot. I've never talked to anybody about it, but that might be Homer son
Well,
that's
if
trying to do that. But right now, that part where you're moving the cursor around is part of all that property that's around the lake. So it's not.
So it's
It's
not.
I was just curious.
1
if it
acre.
actually could be
Yeah,
a
agreed.
residential lot.
50 or whatever.
That was my only question, is if it actually could be, somebody. put a
If
house
you could
there
put a
where-
yellow line there and split it.
Yeah, you couldn't,
No.
because it's not split.
Just the conversation I had with the future owner of the property was that owner is going to section off 2 acres, so an additional acre behind it. Because he wants to put the building behind it and just have an entryway come on it.
He's buying this big, huge piece of
No,
property,
2
and the one
acres.
next to it.
His grandpa never let him buy that.
Oh, he's buying 2 acres of it, okay.
You know.
That's the part.
And I think they're.
Yeah, obviously you do too.
From what I understand from Nicole Fowler, she's a realtor, is that they are currently working on trying to figure out the split for that, because I actually called to inquire on it. We were having a lot of issues with all the overgrowth between the fence and the road. People pulling out where driveway couldn't see, and people coming northbound would pass us because they, so I actually reached out to them, saying, hey, if there's a way I could just buy that acre from you, I'd like to clear a sign of
site path.
And she said they were working on splitting it, but I didn't know she was working on splitting it for her nephew, Hunter. And then later it came out that it's for Hunter, and then I asked Hunter, would you mind if I cleared that? So I actually cleared that, the tree line, the fence line all the way down to the right way, and it's helped tremendously with people coming in and out of our business.
Literally 4 days before he cleared that accident, just because of that problem. During the Renaissance Festival, I pulled in a lot, couldn't see when you turned back that.
And that's when I just said, you know what, I'm doing it.
Not the last one that we did before.
I got that.
It was a bad.
Well-
And there's a few options then. I mean, if you're in contact with these people, it might be easier for you. We just can't base any of our decisions on what they might do with their property down the line. We can only base it on something that they're in. But I would say that if it's not residential next to it, would be easier. So that's a path if we want to coordinate with them. Otherwise, we'll just have to proceed.
What if we agree just to shift our parking, I don't know if it's possible, shift our parking off enough, you'll put it in on a new section. Obviously, we can't do the old section, but the new section is shifting a little bit, like remote.
That was going to be one of the biggest concerns. The other things, like I mentioned, are much smaller, like the trash receptacle, the lighting, but the landscaping is going to be.
Trash receptacle is even out front, and we originally planned on it being that's out back, out of the way. I worked it out with a friend of mine at community disposal, you pick it up during regular hours, so. I had to keep the gate, so worked out that was, nobody would see that.
Well, there's still standards for how it has to be. So
Yeah.
we'll work those out, and lighting will work out, but I think the landscaping is probably the biggest.
I think the loading and unloading, the requirements for that and the landscaping will be the ones that we'll just have to work
Yeah,
through.
loading and unloading is always basically going to be fully parked lot. And then our trucks are never there more than half hour, 40 hours. So really, and our employees have to be there in order to unload the trucks. So it's not like they're blocking that.
I think it's just, moving it and putting it farther back, it's just literally in the middle of the parking lot.
If you go further back, that's what it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter because it depends on where the truck drivers going to come out.
Yeah, so those will be the next things to address in your next iteration of what you submit to us. So based on this memo, those outstanding issues, we'll get those corrected, make sure they comply with zoning.
And have you received a copy of the review from, okay. All right, so you have that, and then we'll get the engineering review. When we receive that, we'll get that distributed also. All right, any other questions or comments from members of the commission?
I guess, is there an issue with the building itself then that's going to, that's, are we just talking in the next room, or are you just talking specifically parking and landscape screening? And then obviously the dumpster enclosure is just.
The new design guidelines that we don't know when they get approved, might be in November. There would be a lot of discussion about the addition and its construction, because architecturally, it's not the way you did the front of your building. You guys did a great job. And actually, we point to that and say, that's kind of what we're looking for in this community, is that, natural stone, you did a very nice job. And you put, give the little entrance there. So it looks nice. And then, what I'm envisioning right now is a pole barn stuck on the backside of it. It's quite honestly.
Yeah, so your eye is supposed to be drawn to the front of the building.
So, and on that note, she talked about flat roofs being behind the existing structure. So I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right? I mean,
Right.
the building won't be out front where people see it. It's gonna be out back. It's just gonna be kind of hidden by the front building.
Yeah, I understood. And that helps.
Yeah, I don't want to get waylaid here for another 4 months to get this done until the new guidelines come in and then we gotta start all over again.
Yeah,
That's our biggest issue.
I've been down this road before. With a lake property that we had purchased and then they changed the guidelines on it in the middle of splitting the property and then we weren't able to start. I would be pushing to do special meetings to make sure that we get in before the November.
Yeah, at this point, because the memo outlines what you need to do, as soon as you guys turn that back around to us.
yeah, I mean,
It's back on you guys now, so as soon as you turn that around and comply with these standards, we can get moving.
Well, I need more clarification. If the building is the addition itself.
you should try to make it
Does it?
architecturally similar to the extent that you can. So color, shingles, you know what I mean? So try
Yeah,
to,
it'd be the same shingle roof.
right, yeah,
But if we did the front facade of it, so the part you see from the road looking at it, if we just final side that part that you see above the roof, and the rest of it, and the kind of matching steel color, would that be acceptable?
to our current ordinance, yes. But if, so what I would envision under the new standard is that we would want, you know, some of that rock that you have, putting maybe a half wall where you've got the garage doors, you know, as we looked, if we were looking at the design guidelines that we're looking to pass, we would want it to be architecturally somewhat similar to what you've done in the front. And it'd only be like some part of that side, so as you're driving, you'd see,
Well, I
you know.
really don't really- I don't think they care what the building looks like, but behind the gate is basically employees, except for sometimes they might come in to turn around to drop off a unit. But still, our customers still park in the customer parking and come in as customer entrance.
So are you saying that you're wanting like that aesthetic, no matter where you're coming from on the property, you want to be able to see it? Or are you talking from the road?
from the road. And,
Because
but,
the new building, you probably won't even see it.
well, and again, for what we have currently in our ordinances, what you're doing, if you can match colors and shingles, is gonna work.
Right.
So,
We can
yeah.
match the color with the site, with the metal site. That's what I'm saying. In my truck, I had the samples of the metal siding that actually kind of matches the site, the siding and the gables that we have. And I think that's the color that's gonna help make the building disappear. So I'm not looking to draw attention to that.
understood.
To that building, but I could do it in vinyl siding just on the one side. If that would
Where you see the peak, the roof peak from the road,
Yeah.
yeah, behind it, I would, yes. I mean, we really are looking to, we have a lot of pushback from the residential community around Dixie Highway to having growth on Dixie Highway. And part of these design guidelines that we are going to be approving in a couple of months, hopefully, is to help with the residents so that we don't get what looks like Waterford, where you've just got, you know, curb cuts everywhere. You've got different buildings, all different spacing from the road, close and far away. And so we're trying to have density, have more of an upscale in the architectural features as you go down so that it looks like a nice corridor, not an industrial complex. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to do it for the community. And so you guys did a great job so far on your building. We applaud you for that. And so we just want to continue to have that kind of a standard as we go through the development of this corridor.
Yeah, I think that's the largest conflict usually with applicants is that I know you're thinking about your business, but we have to think also about the long term of that quarter. So you guys might not own that building the rest of your lives. The person next to you might clear cut all those trees and your building will be totally visible. We have to think about all of this and just want to make sure that we keep the standard high, even if it is, I hear your point totally, that's gonna be blocked currently by your building, but like Jenny was saying, we have to also take care of the poor residents, you know. So I'm okay with whatever you guys work out, because currently the standard, you have to abide by the standards that we have now. And I will work directly with you guys to make sure that we can have a smooth process to get these final things figured out so you guys can start. But that is gonna be one standard that we, you know, the landscaping and how the building looks in the long term is gonna be the most important.
So we're looking, what do we need to do to expedite this issue? I mean, I know your guys' next meeting is what, November, end of November-ish?
Well-
Not have to wait till the ground's frozen to get this started.
If I can
so-
if I can pull together a special meeting, you can have as many special meetings as you want.
Well, we were told last time that like never happens. I don't know if it does or doesn't.
Last time.
That's what we were
Last
told.
time we tried to
Every month
expedite
for
it.
the last 15 months.
Oh, really? We
Ever
were
since I've
told.
been here, I've been
The historically, it's been hard to get everybody.
That's what we were told.
So we're now meeting monthly, but I will say also that, I mean, according to the zoning ordinance, this is the part where the planning commission gives most of their input. What we've heard their input, we know that it's building materials and landscaping. Really, from here on out, it can just be myself, the engineer, and you, township staff to work this out.
So
We don't have to have another meeting.
For the meetings.
I mean, not according to the zoning ordinance.
All right, we're good with that.
So can we just be like
And then
emailing
you
back
did-
and
they meet
forth with
monthly
you?
to wait till November.
Can we then email back and forth with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm calling.
I mean, just
I
if
hate
we wanted
emails.
to send you,
Yeah.
you know.
To send you materials,
Yeah.
I'll have to walk you through the very specific things that we have to comply with.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that. Give a call. Okay.
And so we're complying with, I'm just curious. I think we can, in the, what's existing gravel now that we're gonna pay, instead of doing, straight loading, we could do angled parking. And then that would be able to back us off the fence a little bit and do some kind of screen wall. But is this screen wall that you're talking about, is this in the ordinance today, or is it?
Mhm.
Okay, so-
Yeah, you can look in the ordinance, get online and Groveland Township, go to our ordinance.
Well, I
It's
just-
it just might- it just
Go
might-
ahead. We trust you, it's just we didn't.
It's just my architect didn't put it in there, and he was the same as it was last year. And I'm just kind of curious why he missed it, is all, so.
That's currently a standard, so. We'll go through all of that.
Okay, great.
So Tim, thank you for joining us this evening, and we'll look forward to seeing your report. Michelle, thank you for your report on this. I think you've got the feedback. It's, as Michelle had indicated, it's in substantial compliance. We have a couple of issues that you can work with her on, and we'll get those resolved. We wish you luck.
Thank you.
And I'm glad your business is prospering.
So just real quick from the zoning admin, and what I have to do billing wise, what is next from us to meet? Or it's just gonna be you and Tim and these guys, we're not gonna meet and see at all
I
again?
don't think we need to. If
Even
you
for a
guys
final?
feel comfortable, given what it says in the ordinance, now that we know what your major issues are and where they don't apply, we get that all worked out. And
I'm good.
All right.
We're good.
I mean, I can have this turned around in at the end of the week, so we'll meet again.
should talk-
I have-
Your engineer,
I have
your-
trusses and garage doors already ordered.
Before approval.
Oh, I
Want to hear
am
that?
ready to go. But you gotta
We
order
can
garage
put
doors
this week.
3 to 4 months in advance, so that's why.
It's hard to get any material supplies and anything right now, so you have to like be on the ball.
And I've had that discussion with them before in regards to the township fire station.
Fire
We
station,
gotta get the steel over.
fire station, I have to order steel in the next 2 months or
Does-
in the next summer before we can start that one.
Does this building addition need to be sprinklers?
It's not over 12,000.
It's under
That's why there's so many buildings that are 11,999.
I was gonna say.
Because if there's 12,000, they need sprinkling, and that's a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
If it was 12,000, we wouldn't be building a 10,000 square foot building.
Good point.
Just saying.
So I think you would still need to have a motion that says, that we approve this contingent upon.
I'll make the motion. So I move that we approve the preliminary site plan for the accessory building to Holly Power Sports, item PH 210013, with the items that have been noted by our consultant planner regarding loading zone, parking, relative to screening on the south property line.
I'll do a second.
Do a roll call vote, please.
Stephen Newbill,
Yes.
Jeff Penzi,
Yes.
Jenny McKay,
Yes.
Neil Rutland,
Yes.
Jennifer Sevigny,
Yes,
Lynn Shank.
Yes, ma'am.
there you go. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Before you leave, because you are our only public, do you have any comments? Next on the agenda. All right. And I'll do just from a public standpoint. I had an email communication with Bob today, but I don't know if any of you had an opportunity to be around Dixie Highway this weekend with the
If they did, they probably just got home.
yeah,
Has
So,
it been worse than?
it was
Oh, the worst it's ever been.
worst it's ever been. I was going up to Mount Morris on Sunday. And so I came up Grange Hall on the east side, and it was already backed up to the light at Grange Hall. The traffic on Grange Hall was backed up trying to make a left-hand turn onto Dixie Highway. There was no one directing traffic. And this was at noon, right? It opens up at 10. This is at noon,
And I don't
not
know-
at the
I don't know if
intersection.
you guys know this, but people see that, so they come north on Dixie. They turn into our driveways.
Turn around.
And turn around, and they cause accidents.
Yep. Yeah.
And really,
Yep.
we should be stopping them from doing the U-turn because it's
It's,
It's
bad.
literally car after car after car.
Like I have on
This is-
camera,
this is
my
the
camera's
problem.
going off constantly.
Festival will work for 1 to sometimes 3 years, and then there's always some anomaly that they can't foresee or calculate. And what happened this time was a combination of several things. One, they felt everybody had been cooped up so long, they got a bigger turnout than they expected.
Way more than I thought.
And because everybody's trying to get venues going, the signs that we normally have up on Dixie, both sides that say full, don't come anymore, were all leased before she could get to them.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Okay.
And the Oakland County Sheriff is down somewhere between 80 and 100 deputies. So now when they have to fill that contract, since they're down deputies, they have to go to some other guy that may just have pulled a double shift and say, you ain't going home yet. You're gonna go direct traffic at the Renaissance Festival, and they ain't happy. Okay, now, and I understand all that, but my discussion today and yesterday on the phone with lots of people that are trying to get together, the meeting will probably be next Thursday, I think,
Okay.
right now,
Okay.
is going to get us, Holly, who's not ever helped us really fix
Right.
the attendance issue. And the problem is, and I've told this to many residents, we didn't invite the Renaissance Festival, and it's not in Groveland Township.
Just the parking.
We get all of the complaints, and I talked to George about it, and he kind of chuckled and said, no, you get them all. I don't get any. I said, I know.
Well, we'll redirect.
And they don't like that. That's tough. So I want everybody involved with it. I have called with Will Hostler today and told them what I am going to go over. And I'll be honest with you, it's basically the same kind of solutions we've talked to before, but part of the problem is, I think the Renaissance Festival has to step up and buy some of those things, like those signs that they can control from a remote service, not lease them and say they can't get them. And if they don't have enough parking, then buy some damn buses, not lease them and say you can't get them. And then have them available, not say the guy's stuck in traffic, he can't get in either. Those are the kinds of excuses. And if we can't get what we want at the conclusion of that meeting, I have every intention, and I talked to Will, we're gonna go to the circuit court and ask for injunctive release to close the festival.
Yeah,
Is Kathy aware of that?
She will be at the conclusion of the meeting if I
Okay.
don't get everything I asked for.
well, the traffic was, it was backed up on Perryville, it was
Yeah.
backed up on Grange Hall.
It was.
It was
I'm
backed
going
up on
on
the ramp.
It was
on the
backed
expressway.
up on the express.
All the way to the express.
Yep.
Yeah. I went up there at 2:32 to check. I know people don't believe, but I did go a couple of times. and It
Yeah.
was atrocious.
Yes, it was.
And it's not just what some people would try to have you think, that it's just a minor inconvenience to those people on Perryville. They could go the other way. No, it wasn't. They could not get out. They had cars parked on Perryville for 1,000 feet back from Dixie. They called the sheriff, who said, I'm not doing this, and wouldn't help them. They called the state police. The guy came out and said, we can't fix this. Couldn't get 200 feet away from the guy and said, you're right. And then they called the wreckers and started pulling cars away.
Really?
Yes. So some of those people came out of that festival and said, well, where's my car?
Well, they're idiots if they park on the side of the road like that.
Well, they
parked-
they were parked on.
Yeah, it's probably at Aldridge's parking
Oh, yeah.
yard. They're probably gonna cost you $250 to get it back.
They're in rush hour to the end, Holly Park Sports. And I don't care. That gets them off the road in North Park on a
The
Sunday.
problem is, I appreciate that, but that is like this much solution to this much.
Oh,
fight.
right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a meeting, and I'm the one that kept on saying, I want everybody, the sheriff's been apprehensive to come, because I think he thinks I'm gonna blast him on that. The contract with the sheriff was very straightforward, if you recall. When we did that, we said, you're not hiring an outside parking firm for the Renaissance Festival. You are going to hire uniformed police officers, because nobody listens to the high school kids standing in a row. And you're not going to tell me how many you're going to hire. The sheriff's going to tell me exactly how many he wants, just like they do at Pine Knob Music Theater, okay? And so my only concern with the sheriff is, if you haven't got enough, you need to say how many you need, because I just tell the Renaissance Festival, if he says 10, it's 10. If he says 50, it's 50. And we need to get that resolved going forward. And I asked our county commissioner to join us, because he's over both our township and Holly. And the real problem is, if you go back, we tried to address the attendance at the Renaissance Festival before. They don't want to do it. So we went to the fire authority in Holly and said, you guys have the festival, not us. We think you're using the wrong formula for the density. If you've ever been there, when they have 28 or 9,000 people, you are shoulder to shoulder and you can't move in there. If somebody yells fire, there'll be at least 1,000 people that'll get trampled to death. And they said, no, we think it's the right formula. So I can't control it. So people get mad. And I say to them, I understand what you're going through. I agree with you. I can't do anything with the festival. They won't adjust the contents. We suggested giving them day-specific tickets, which would fix all the problems. Because at about 23 or 4,000 people, you can fit them in there all day long, and it works smooth as could be. 18,000, you'll think the place is half empty. But the problem is, when it gets to 28, 29,000, it's just gangbusters. And then you end up with another 1,000 or 3,000 cars jammed up on the road. You can't get in. By the time they finally close the parking lot at 5 o'clock, I'm sure all those people that had been waiting an hour and a half on Dixie were plenty ticked off. So I don't know why it doesn't seem to bother them enough to actually do it. I heard part of the parking lot was flooded and muddy, and they didn't, put some money into the place and fix it, or move it, get it out of here. And I don't care which one, really. So that's kind of where we stand, but I'll let you know, because I'm trying to get the county commissioner, us, George, the Renaissance Festival, and the sheriff together in the same room. And it's a little bit like herding cats.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the sheriff did their part. There was no traffic at noon, and I went back by at 3. you know, the traffic was backed up. They didn't have, you know, police officers directing traffic. There were no signs, you know,
And I
indicating.
don't know, in fact, is it because of the shortage that they didn't have their full contingent? I don't know. That's why I said they need to be at the meeting. Their answer to Kathy was, well, you tell Bob, he has to call us. I said, why do I have to call us? We don't pay for their service. That is a contract.
Yeah, with
between the
them.
Renaissance Festival and the Oakland County Sheriff.
That's right.
All I did was make sure they used you and said, you call the shots on how many you need. So
Yeah.
I said, just tell them I need to get in there. We need to have somebody that can actually say, how many did you have there? What do you think the problems are that we can do? Because she goes, I can't fix the GPS stuff. If you're driving to the festival and you punch it into GPS, once that backlog starts, your TomToms and everything will reroute you to like Groveland Road to Van, down Van to Perryville and just make it worse. And I have no idea how you could ever fix that. I don't think there is. That stuff's all automated. And that's not the problem. The fundamental problem that everything is, you can't tell me how many people you're going to get on a given day.
Exactly.
And you do not have an in-place contingent setup to handle it when it happens.
Exactly.
It's always some excuse.
Yep.
I couldn't get the bus, I couldn't get the driver, I couldn't get the signs.
Yep.
I don't care, buy all that shit. It really, this is exactly how I feel.
No,
So-
it was the worst
ever
I've seen it.
Yep.
Oh,
The
yeah,
worst.
it's like four cop cars on Saturday. It was 3 attendants and 1 down by us, but that's not.
They're supposed to, the last, now I don't see them every time because you guys renew it every year, but when we did it, I think it was 14. I don't think there was 14 there.
Yeah, no. Well, on Sunday, all I saw, and I did the whole length from Grange Hall Road to I-75, I saw were the police officers at the entrance. That was it.
And so she thinks some of those people just would complain no matter what. I think they have a legitimate right.
Yeah.
And so I want to get everybody in the room. If I'm not seeing something, you tell me what I'm missing. But here's what I see, and the only options I think that are going to work. Which one do you want? Because I'm going to get one of them, or I'm not giving you your permit next year. And if you open without it, I will go to get a court order. And Will thinks we'll get one. It won't be a problem.
Yes, when you look at how did the fire department get out? How does the EMS get out? I mean,
they did have moving, I will say,
He was able, he said he was able to get out, because I said, I don't know how you could come back, because the southbound from I-75 was jammed up all the way to the gates. He said, you know, I don't want to, we're able to.
One
That
lane.
time.
one lane was blocked, one lane was open, right? So I was able to go 40, 45 miles an hour all the way from Grange Hall to Dixie because the right lane was open. And the same thing on southbound Dixie. One lane's, you know, just car to car bumper and the other one's moving. Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, you're gonna get a kick out of this. I got a call from, I know one of the lieutenants pretty well, does some traffic stuff for the traffic signs and stuff. And she said, we had a problem putting like tickets for guys doing U-turns. Could we, you think you could get us to have them put some temporary U-turn signs up? I said, it's been a while since I looked, but I think they're up there. Let me go look. I said, well, actually, between the north side of the top, the fairgrounds property to Grange Hall Road, there's at least 21 or 22 no U-turn signs. They're all over the place because I had them put up the first time that came up, right? So you can write all the tickets you want, but people do it anyway, and they get frustrated.
Constantly,
Yeah.
literally.
And that's what creates several of the accidents. Because then you have both lanes blocked, where somebody has to get a wrecker and pull a car out, somebody's car is totaled. It's just ugly.
A week and a half ago was a truck turned in front of another truck with a camper in the back of it. And it just,
Smashed right into the side of them.
it just, it
I
shut
know, and I know,
down.
there's, you know, you can only do so much. It's like people saying, well, there's speeding on the roads out here. Okay, tell me why, because I really can't ask them to sit there 7 days a week waiting for the guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's that kind of thing. You get, what you have to do is eliminate, in my opinion, the root cause of the problem. And that is completely unknowing how many people are going to show up. Yet we know every year, weekends, the last 3 or 4 weekends, the second from the last weekend is generally the worst for attendance. You can fix that. You may not want to, but you can fix that. And if not, you ought to be able to put a system in place that says as soon as that happens, and cars back up to this point, you turn the sign on, it says we're full for the day, we're done.
Yeah,
It's pretty simple.
Well, it would be simpler, actually, if the Holly Fire Department would say, you're using the wrong formula, there's too many people in there, this is your formula. You're capped at around 24, maybe 25,000 people,
George called.
and the whole thing would work.
I know George, he said something to me about that. He
Because
was,
I said it to him.
he was there, I guess, and he said it was a total
Yes,
cluster.
it is. Now, I have to have lunch with him tomorrow because we're getting ready.
Well, there you go.
Thank you for sponsoring, by the way.
No, you're welcome.
We'll
We'll be there.
And I got confirmation today, the pinup girl, who I don't know who she was, but she works for the Naka Fire Department. She dresses like a 50s kind of, art picture with the hairdo and the tattoo and the dress. She offered to do our show for nothing, so that when all the guys come in this time with their car, they're gonna take a picture.
Oh, nice.
I thought it'd be a nice stuff. And she offered to do it for nothing. Very nice thing. So things are coming together for that. Thank you.
All right. We have the monthly planning report.
Okay, so the 2020 census is finally rolling out, not all of it, but slowly it's coming out. So you can see these bullet points here are just some of the major trends that Grid Magazine put together. So
Drum roll. Bob was right. We won't hit the number we were in the year 2000. We did
you're
5912, still under 2000 census.
Michigan as a state did grow though, which it hadn't been, so that it's a good reversal there. But Michigan will lose one congressional seat. So you can see here the trends are showing that mainly cities are growing as people continue their work opportunity. The recovery funds that are coming out, I just wanted to note that Michigan is the only state in the nation without a statewide septic code. It's handled on a county by county level most of the time. And often there's no set regulation for how often they have to be inspected. So this leaves a big problem for our groundwater. And it is one thing I will say though, there is bipartisan support for in Lansing. So they're trying to push ahead with that.
It's just ironic that in a time when they're promoting infrastructure dollars, you can't seem to get any of it for a sewer project. One day.
That is crazy.
I'm going to skip the Commerce of New York and the Central Social Districts is really familiar with downtowns. But the training and education, I guess I wanted to ask the staff here, do any of you guys go to the Michigan Association of Planning Conference? Annual conference? It's at the end of October. 27th. Oh, there's also the Michigan Township Association. They have a retreat. So these are good resources to meet other townships, other communities, see how they're doing things, learn from people around the state. So
I'll say if any of you are interested, we'll make it available. Okay.
Where is the retreat?
the retreat is in
Why?
Bradenwood.
It's at the Renaissance Festival.
But the MAP conference is virtual, so you can watch in your pajamas if you'd like to. So those are the two big upcoming educational opportunities.
And I had sent the email today to have that forwarded out to.
Yeah, that's the one on the 20th,
Correct.
which is just a couple hours in the evening.
Yeah, a Wednesday night, I think it was, yeah. And it looked like it would, I asked her, it was an email Bob had sent me, and I just asked to send it to you guys, because I'm a short timer. And I think it was right for me to.
We haven't voted on that yet.
No motion there. Huh? But I didn't think it was right for me to take any more training, but I think it looked like a good one for you guys to take, so.
Will you drive?
No, I think it was,
Virtual.
it's virtual, oh, was it in Flint? Oh, that's right, it was, that one was. in
7 to
Flint.
9.
Yeah, I'll drive you.
Okay, I'll go. I don't have to drive.
Take everybody in the van.
All right,
I would consider going to those. I mean, if it's in person,
Wednesday in October 20th. I think it's a
Yeah.
Wednesday,
Yeah, it's
October
Wednesday.
20th.
that's the email you just sent around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The CES presentation.
about zoning.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, is it, do you have to like?
They're good things to go to, really. And usually you meet some people, make some good contacts.
No, I would definitely be interested. So is there like a fee or?
We'll pay it.
Do I have to?
Just let Danielle know that you want to go and then they'll work out the
They will
registration.
give
for you.
Danielle's driver, she'll get mileage money, you all get some food allowance for however long it is, so we pay the meeting tuition.
Okay.
Is it going to be at the row office?
So I'll pick everybody up from 2. We'll hit a couple bars.
I'll be ready.
No, we won't.
Is it going to be at the row engineering office downtown Flint?
What's that say? I didn't really look at it. I just thought.
It says row will be hosting it.
No, I don't remember
See
now
where
where
it
it was.
says where it's going to be.
You're right. Dan.
Oh, location, yeah, 540 South Saginaw. It sounds like their row engineering
Professional
office
services company.
downtown, right on Saginaw Street,
All
right in
right,
the middle of downtown.
So if you want to go, tell me now, or send me an email.
you got 2 takers right now, Jeff and Lynn.
I might go.
and David.
David?
I might. I have to check with boss.
Yeah, get final approval.
We're gonna be traveling that Friday, so it may be.
All right,
Can I make a motion?
yes.
I make a motion. We adjourn for today.
Second.
All in
Thank
favor,
you.
say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Neil?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.